If you've been covering the NFL long enough, you learn to listen very carefully when Jerry Jones chooses his words. He's not just an owner, he's a master marketer, a tone setter, and arguably the most influential personality attached to the Dallas Cowboys brand. So when he casually hints at busting the budget, that's not accidental phrasing. That's not filler. That's intentional. And when someone with his history of measured spending suddenly starts floating the idea of stretching financial limits, you have to step back and ask, what changed? Because for years, the Cowboys have been careful, calculated, structured. They've built through the draft. They've extended their own. They've avoided reckless outside spending sprees. And yet now, the tone feels different. The urgency feels heavier. The subtext feels louder than the actual quote. And if you're a Cowboys fan, or even just an NFL fan watching the NFC landscape, you should be paying very close attention. This isn't just about money. This is about timing, legacy, pressure, and opportunity all colliding at once. Jerry doesn't talk about busting budgets unless he believes something big is at stake. And right now, the stakes feel enormous. You look at where this roster stands, and you see elite pieces already in place. You have a franchise quarterback in Dak Prescott, who has proven he can produce at a high level in the regular season. You have a superstar wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb, who has ascended into that top-tier conversation and can single-handedly tilt defensive coverages. You have a defensive cornerstone in Micah Parsons, who changes offensive game plans every single week and forces coordinators to lose sleep. That is not a rebuilding foundation. That is a competitive core. And when you have that kind of nucleus, patience starts to feel like waste. That's where this conversation gets fascinating. For years, the Cowboys have walked the fine line between being contenders and being almost contenders. They win double-digit games. They dominate stretches of the regular season. They generate hype. But then January hits and something stalls. Whether it's execution, injuries, matchups, or mental lapses, the result has been the same: early exits that don't match the regular season swagger. And each time that happens, the pressure mounts. Fans grow restless. Analysts grow skeptical. Rivals grow more confident. And inside that ownership suite, you have to believe the frustration builds. Jerry Jones did not buy the Cowboys to be very good. He bought them to win championships. He built his reputation on boldness in the 1990s, on aggressive moves that turned into dynasty banners. So when he hints at stretching financial limits now, it feels like a return to that mindset. It feels like someone looking at the calendar and realizing that time is not infinite. At his stage in life and career, legacy matters. Another Lombardi trophy would reshape the narrative around the modern Cowboys era. It would silence decades of postseason criticism. And if that requires creative cap management, heavy restructures, or even backloaded contracts that kick financial consequences down the road, maybe that's a price he's willing to pay. Let's talk about what busting the budget actually means in practical NFL terms. The salary cap is real, but it's also flexible if you're willing to manipulate structure. You can convert base salary into signing bonus. You can add void years. You can restructure existing deals to create immediate cap space while pushing hits into future seasons. Teams that believe their window is open often do exactly that. It's a calculated gamble. Maximize the present at the expense of future flexibility. And historically, Dallas has been conservative with that lever. They've avoided excessive void years. They've avoided constant restructures that create massive dead money cliffs. But if Jerry is signaling a philosophical shift, that could change overnight. Imagine restructuring Dak's deal to free up tens of millions in immediate cap space. That move alone would signal urgency. It would say, "We believe in this quarterback, and we believe the roster around him is close enough to justify pushing chips forward." And Dak's situation is central to all of this. Quarterback contracts dictate roster construction in today's NFL. His cap number influences every other move. If you extend him, you can lower immediate hits but commit long-term. If you wait, you risk leverage shifting. If you restructure aggressively, you double down on the current window. None of those paths are neutral. Every decision carries ripple effects that extend 2, 3, even 4 seasons into the future. Then there's CeeDee Lamb. Wide receiver markets have exploded. Elite pass catchers are no longer just complementary pieces. They are offensive engines. Paying Lamb at the top of the market would be expensive, but letting him get anywhere near uncertainty would be far riskier. When you have a receiver who can dominate man coverage, win at every level, and command double teams, you lock him in. Period. And if that requires creative cap structuring, so be it. Now layer Micah Parsons into the equation. Defensive game wreckers reset markets every time their deals come up. Edge defenders who can rush, drop, chase, and intimidate are rare. If Dallas waits too long, that price tag only climbs. So, busting the budget could also mean preparing for a defensive extension that makes Parsons one of the highest-paid defenders in football. That's not optional spending. That's foundational spending. And once you commit that kind of money to a quarterback, a star receiver, and a defensive cornerstone, you are clearly signaling that this era is the one you're riding with. But here's where things get even more intriguing. The Cowboys have often avoided splashy outside free agents. They've preferred value signings, role players, depth upgrades. What if this time is different? What if busting the budget includes a legitimate impact addition from outside the building? A veteran defensive tackle to fortify the interior. A physical running back to stabilize the ground game. A proven offensive lineman to protect Dak in high-pressure moments. Those types of signings don't just add talent. They send a message to the locker room. They say ownership believes in you enough to invest aggressively. And that psychological boost matters. Players feel it. Coaches feel it. Fans feel it. The narrative shifts from cautious optimism to full-scale expectation. Of course, there are risks. Pushing cap hits into future years can create brutal consequences if performance declines or injuries hit. Dead money can cripple flexibility. Depth can suffer if too much cap is concentrated at the top. We've seen teams ride the all-in wave and then crash hard 2 seasons later. So the calculus becomes this. Does Dallas believe this roster is truly 1 or 2 pieces away? Because you don't mortgage flexibility unless you're convinced you're close. And maybe they are. Maybe internal evaluations say the playoff shortcomings were situational, not structural. Maybe they believe improved coaching adjustments, combined with a few key additions, flip those January outcomes. Maybe they see the NFC as winnable. That's another layer here. Conference context matters. If the path to the Super Bowl looks attainable, aggression increases. If rivals are surging, standing still becomes dangerous. Jerry understands the optics of falling behind in an arms race. He's watched other teams manipulate the cap and stay aggressive year after year. He knows that playing it safe doesn't guarantee sustainability anyway. So why not take the shot when the core is in its prime? And let's not underestimate the business angle. The Cowboys are a global brand. Big moves generate headlines. Headlines generate engagement. Engagement reinforces the brand's dominance. Aggressive spending doesn't just impact the roster, it fuels the marketing machine. And Jerry has always understood that football decisions and business optics often intersect. But at its heart, this feels less like marketing and more like urgency. When an owner at this stage hints at stretching limits, it sounds like someone who recognizes that opportunities are finite. Championships don't wait politely. Windows close abruptly. Injuries happen. Coordinators get hired away. Momentum shifts. If Dallas believes the window is open right now, Conservative budgeting feels counterproductive. That's why this quote matters so much. It suggests a philosophical pivot. It suggests less fear of future pain. It suggests more emphasis on immediate payoff. And that kind of mindset can completely reshape an offseason. Imagine the ripple effect if Dallas restructures major contracts early, clears cap room aggressively, and signs a premium free agent in the first wave. The perception changes overnight. The league reacts. Agents take note. Rivals reassess. Suddenly, the Cowboys aren't just drafting well, they're flexing financially. And inside that locker room, veterans would feel the signal. This organization expects to compete at the highest level right now. That expectation can sharpen focus. It can elevate standards. But it also increases pressure. Because once you bust the budget, excuses shrink. If you push cap hits forward and spend aggressively, the playoffs are no longer the goal. Deep playoff success becomes the baseline expectation. And maybe that's exactly what Jerry wants. No more comfort in regular season dominance. No more celebrating divisional titles. The bar becomes championships or disappointment. For Dak Prescott, that means scrutiny intensifies. For CeeDee Lamb, that means leadership responsibility grows. For Micah Parsons, that means being the defensive heartbeat in the biggest moments. Aggressive spending doesn't just add players, it amplifies accountability. And that might be the cultural jolt this franchise believes it needs. Because talent has never been the primary criticism. Execution under the brightest lights has. If financial aggression signals mental aggression, the psychological shift could be just as important as the roster upgrades. At the same time, long-term planners inside the organization will be calculating every angle. How many void years are acceptable? How much dead money risk can be tolerated? What happens if injuries strike? There is a delicate balance between boldness and recklessness. The smartest aggressive teams plan their exit routes even while going all in. So if Jerry truly intends to stretch the budget, expect it to be strategic, not chaotic. Expect targeted aggression, not random splurges. Expect calculated restructures paired with specific impact additions. And perhaps most importantly, expect clarity. Because once you cross that financial line, there is no pretending you're just developing. You're competing. Period. And that clarity might be the most powerful outcome of all. Cowboys fans have lived through cycles of hype and heartbreak. They crave direction as much as they crave victories. Busting the budget offers direction. It suggests a defined window. It suggests commitment to this core. It suggests that the front office sees what the fans see. A roster talented enough to dream bigger than divisional banners. Whether that dream materializes depends on execution, health, and postseason composure. But philosophically, the shift alone is seismic. The Cowboys have long balanced ambition with caution. Now it sounds like ambition might be outweighing caution. And in the NFL, fortune often favors the bold. If this truly becomes an all-in offseason, it won't just shape the next season. It will define the next era. Because pushing money forward ties your future to your present belief. It says you trust your stars, you trust your coaching, you trust your trajectory. And trust in the NFL is expensive. Jerry Jones seems ready to pay that price.